The age of social media, all it takes nowadays to spark up an online fight is to merely have an opinion. One opinion will cause many to spiral into a pit hole of anger where no one dialogues, only insults the person who has the unpopular or even the popular opinion regarding the latest trends in comic books, movies, or pulp culture. It makes sense given the circumstance. After all, acting tough behind the protective wall of the black mirror we all own and use on a daily basis makes it easy for anyone to jump right into a tirade of insults and threats. Again, just for having an opinion that they may disagree with. I decided to go against that notion. I've decided to start a video series where we discuss the hot topic issues within the comic book industry and pulp culture and provide you with another perspective. One of logic, reason, with just plain old dialogue between two people who have differing opinions. My co-host and I will discuss the pop culture topics at hand in a fun, engaging, and respectable manner. So, without further ado, let's talk about it.
On November 27th, 1997, citizens from a small Midwestern town called Carpenter's Bay were shocked to discover that one of their own brutally massacred his family, as well as ending his own life on Thanksgiving Day. Dubbed the Thanksgiving Day Massacre, this horrendous crime would forever tarnish the good name of this peaceful town. However, underneath this story lies a dark secret. A secret involving a government cover-up to hide the real story of what happened that fateful day. As the old saying goes, truth is stranger than fiction. Asset 13, The Last Thanksgiving, written by Julius Freeman, art by Greg Warrenchak, available on Global Comics. Evil has a new holiday.
What is up, everyone? Welcome back to another edition of Let's Talk About It. And with me today, look who's back!
Hey!
Kyle! I finally upgraded my AI service and I, paid the fee, and now he's up and running again. Hello,
How
Kyle!
about that? When you actually spend the money, because we are a high production budget show, then you get the quality performance.
That's right. That's right. Welcome back, Kyle. Welcome back. I'm sure you were missed. People were pissed off at you for attending a hockey game instead of coming here to talk about comics.
Yes.
And then the other time you left for a Comic-Con. So that was more, I guess better.
More acceptable.
Ben's here. Ben says Windows 11 Kyle.
Exactly. With all the bugs and glitches and all.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And then we got Praetor 7. What's up, Praetor? How you doing, man? Thanks for joining us. Man, dude, Kyle, it's been a while,
I know.
man. It's been a while.
I've
come back. I've come back, but you have good things to do. But there's a lot to catch up on. But today's topic is a very demanding topic. So before we get into that, I really want to know what you've been up to briefly. And show off what you got, man, because I know you got some good stuff.
I got some good stuff, man. I got some good stuff. But yeah, it's one of those things where I wanted to come back and stuff like that, but schedules change. It's been, things been happening. Hockey has been prevalent, and I know I'm a big hockey fan, so I was going to supporting the team and stuff like that, and a lot of the games happen to be on Friday, so it just, things. But now that we're kind of winding down and we're going to be hopefully back on here on at least a semi-regular basis, which is hopefully going to be pretty good. But, in terms of things that I've got, oh man, I got a bunch of stuff. But, one of the main things that I'm like ecstatic over is, so I was 2 years ago, I think, yeah, it was 2 years ago. I was at the Comics Revolution, Ontario, and I met Kenneth Rocafort, who is a very amazing artist. He also
Yeah,
has
very amazing.
indie book that he's creating as well. Julius was actually the one that turned me on to him and told me, hey, he's going to be there. Why don't you go and get a sketch or a commission done by him? And I'm like, all right, I've never heard of him before, but I saw some of his work. I'm like, yeah, it looks pretty cool. I wonder what type of characters he would like to draw and stuff like that. And so what he did was the Green Lantern and Venom mashup that I did, and that was an amazing piece. If you ever go to my Instagram, which is listed right here, you'll see that that's my profile picture, and man, that it just exploded. And so I always wanted him to do a companion piece for that, but he hasn't been over here in, like I said, 2 years. So just a couple weeks ago was the convention. I messaged him earlier and I said, hey, you're going to be at the convention. Do you mind doing this piece for me? And he said, of course, I remember you, because it was one of the most unique pieces that I've done. Everybody just has me do, Batman or,
Right.
just something else
Yeah.
that's so generic. This one I actually got to do, like, think and actually like have to work out how I'm going to do it and everything. And so he did the companion piece, which was Sinestro being taken over by Carnage.
Oh, dude, that's you got that framed. Nice, dude.
Oh, of
Very
course,
nice.
I had to get it framed. But
Well,
so yeah, this one,
I thought you would have it loose still, but no, that's cool, dude. That's really cool.
yeah. So that one was, like I said, the one that I did before, which was the Green Lantern, and then this one, which was and I love to, like, what I was expecting was him to basically, and I kind of told him, was to basically just do the same pose as the Green Lantern one.
Oh,
but,
right.
but just mirrored. And so he actually went above and beyond because he actually had a little bit more time. This one he did at the actual convention. This one, since I messaged him about like a month prior, he had a little bit more time to like
And you could tell the difference, man. Like look how clear that looks as opposed to the Green Lantern. And it's, I mean, they're still both great, don't get me wrong. It's just that you could tell that he kind of had a time constraint with the first one, and the second one he just took his, I mean, the detail on that one is so crisp. I can see it clearly from here.
Dude, tell me about it. Like it's one thing. Look, I mean, you're looking at it from a reflection in my frame.
I know. But I saw it in person. It's great. It looks great.
Yeah, you see it in person, and the amount of just minute details that he has in this piece is just phenomenal. And so anyway, yeah, this was something I had to get framed, and it's hanging up on my wall. But yeah, it's something. He said he loved doing it. He said he was one of the fun, most it was one of the fun things that he was able to do, because he actually got to, like, actually experiment and figure out, well, how am I going to do this, and what's it going to look like? And he was just going on about it. So it was really fun talking to him about it.
That's cool, because that's the one thing that I think a lot of the newer readers tend to forget when they get commissions from artists, is that they like to be challenged. They like to draw stuff that's out of the ordinary, because it's a commission. It's not like a, it's not like they got hired to draw a book. It's a fan who's like, hey, I never seen you draw this character. Is it okay? Can you draw this character? And they love it. And I'm sure this was like a great idea. Now, if this was like the DC Marvel crossover, I would have bought that.
Yes,
easily.
I know. It's like money can be printed if they had just taken that design and that concept and actually made it into a Marvel DC, like you said, Marvel DC crossover. Like, maybe like one of the Prestige edition, have it be a little bit bigger than a normal, and then just have the full story of how they got the symbiotes and how they, combine and all that stuff.
One shot, one and done.
Yeah.
Marvel DC crossover, and you're good. And Campbell, they like slept on it. DC and Marvel slept on that idea because although the Batman Deadpool crossover was cool, it was a little bit too, I don't know. I feel like the Deadpool Batman crossover would have made more sense when the first Deadpool movie came out. That would have made the most sense to do that. But since it just, I don't know, it like felt flat. And that would have been more interesting. That would have been like, ooh, symbiotes and Green Lanterns. All right, sign me up. Even though I'm not a fan of the Green Lanterns, but that would be enough of a hook for me to check it out. At least for me. At least for me.
Well, and then you start to think into yourself, well, how's that going to work? How's the powers going to work? How is the symbiote combined with it? And so it just gives you so much more creativity for the writers and the artists to explore, and you get none of that with Deadpool and Batman. It's like
seriously, man. Seriously, it's kind of in a lot of ways it was a sad situation. Nah, this is not to bash anyone who enjoyed it. If you enjoyed it, great, but I was expecting a story, not a anthology. That's essentially what we got with this crossover. It was an anthology. The last crossover was the Avengers JLA crossover, which is exactly what should be whenever they crossover like that. Anthologies, I mean, not my cup of tea. I like anthologies if it's done right, if it's interesting, but for the most part, it's kind of like what's the point of getting an anthology if you're not going to get the whole a whole story behind it?
I know.
And that gets me
a piece of a story that's going to be never finished.
Yeah, it's never going to be finished. They're never going to follow through. They're not going to follow up on it. So there's no point. I guess it was just a way to get the editors to get their friends in on this monumental event, which wasn't really monumental. It was just an event. Which actually segues to the topic of the night, which is gatekeeping, because that's how you get people work in the mainstream is choosing who you want to work for a certain book. And the reason why gatekeeping is the topic of tonight's show is because this person here, hold on, let me just share my screen real quick. This person's by the name of Classic Comics 3 on X posted, "What is your hottest comics take?" Right, and of course other people responded to him and everything, and so
definitely not a very controversial or very not controversial, but not very provocative question at all. Just and so our friend or my colleague, not I shouldn't say colleague, my peer, my indie comic book peer, Dave Brink, responded with, "Too many people are making comics and most of it is not worth the paper it's printed on." Ooh. Wow.
Now, of course, this rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. A lot of people agreed with them. Oh, yeah, of course. A lot of people agreed with him.
Yeah.
I was one of them. And a lot of people disagreed with them and they got mad. And that the whole thing about this topic, this whole your hottest comics take is meant to create discourse. And I like that. I'm not opposed to it. But of course, it branches off to all these little threads that some are disrespectful and mean, and others are very thoughtful and very like, oh, I never thought of it that way, that kind of deal. So depending on where you navigated through, you either got the crappy
what circles you're in.
Yeah, you got the crappy toxic part, or you got the good healthy discourse part. And I, of course, lean towards the healthy discourse part, because I'm an adult. And I know it's comics. It's not that deep, guys. So
what are you talking about?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, exactly. Right.
It's highbrow, man.
So Mr. Dave Brink here said, "Too many people are making comics and most of it is not worth the paper it's printed on," which got me to think about the topic. And I want to expand on that because, speaking from personal experience, I myself published books in the past that were not worth the paper it was printed on.
And you're admitting that yourself.
Of course, you got to admit that yourself, especially when you're an artist like myself, a storyteller. You got to look back on your past and realize, you know what? I was not mature yet. I was not developed yet. I thought I was, because when you run on ego, you're blinded. You're blinded by the constructive criticism that come your way, because you take them as insults. You take them as attacks towards your pride and joy, right? Your heart. The thing that you put onto the paper, my soul, my heart and soul is I wrote this onto my paper. So when someone comes along and goes, yeah, this is not working because you're inconsistent. Yeah, you're inconsistent here. You're this, that, and then you just immediately want to attack. Yeah, it's just bad. And so that was the hot topic issue this past few days because of it, and that's what got me thinking about whether or not gatekeeping is a good thing in not just the comic book industry, but every industry, right? Movies, TV, right down to construction, right down to any other industry that exists in the world. Does gatekeeping help or hinder the growth of an industry? Skull Grin 140, what's up, dude? How you doing, man? Welcome to the show. Welcome back, I should say. Maturation is a vital part of getting older. Otherwise, you're missing something important. 100%, man. 100%. Wisdom is what comes after experience of life. At least that's the thing, right? Gatekeeping is pure nonsense. Oh, there we go. Look at that.
All right.
Pure nonsense. Now, we'll discuss. We'll unpack what you said there, and also what I think gatekeeping is. But Kyle, what do you think about gatekeeping? Do you even care? Do you have any thoughts about that? Because it's interesting. It's one thing getting it from an artist, right? From someone who's actively working in the industry, as opposed to a reader who, for the most part, doesn't really care. Not because you don't care because you're mean or anything. It's just because you just like the final product to be shown to you. That's what readers, consumers are there to. I want the final product. I don't want to work in progress. I want a completed final product, and I'm ready to spend my money and time to consume this. Now, what's your take on that? The idea of gatekeeping?
It's definitely an interesting question, because I think, as a reader and as a consumer, they, like if you're trying to get, like, say, a new reader into comic books and they have no idea what to do or where to start, and you come across somebody who is like a gatekeeper in a sense, and they think, I see that you picked up, this book or that book. I don't think you're ready for that. I don't think you should read that, or I think you should read this instead. And maybe that's more level to you. I think in that instance, tailoring new readers into something that then they can grow would be one thing. But then there's also others that in that same situation, say it's a new reader goes into a comic book shop, and they dismiss you whatsoever because they don't expect you, that you're just like, say you're here because the new Invincible came out, and so you're only here because Invincible. So you're not really a true comic book fan. So I shouldn't waste my time in turning you on into something else that might be also good. You're just here. You're just a flash in the pan, so to speak. And so I shouldn't even bother with you. I think those types of gatekeeping harm the community.
Yeah. Okay. I agree with that.
So those in that sort of terms, then yes. As far as like if you're talking about movies and TV shows and stuff like that, I mean a lot, especially kind of like with comic books too, but right now too, everything's just gotten so expensive that almost you kind of rely on the gatekeepers because they tell you, "Oh, is this gonna be good? Oh, it's not gonna be good. Then I don't even want to bother."
Right. Yeah,
And
that's true.
so it's
Right.
like, I don't know, I'll save my money, and then maybe years down the line, oh yeah, that was actually good, and that gatekeeper was wrong all along. Oh, all right. Oh well, I'll just watch it now. So it's like,
Right. No, you're right. You're right. I remember years ago when the South Park movie came out. And it wasn't a gatekeeper, it was a friend of mine, but he I trusted his judgment because he and I were on the same level in terms of what we liked in movies, right? So he went to see the movie first when it was in theaters, and he told me, "Dude, it's stupid. It's not even funny. It's so dumb. It's a musical, and it's not even the funny one at that." And so I never watched it until maybe, yeah, again, 2 or 3 years later when I was bored. It was during the time when Blockbuster was still around, and
yeah.
so I decided, you know what? I'm just there's something else that I can rent because everything is rented out. So I'll just get this one, the South Park movie. And I watched it, and it was the greatest thing I've ever seen in my life. And I remember I called him the next day and said, "Dude, you lied to me, man. This was the greatest thing ever. What the hell were you? What movie did you watch? This was great." And so that's when that was the moment when I realized I'm never gonna take anyone's word for it. I'm gonna watch it for myself and make up my own mind.
Yeah.
And that helped me, I guess, kind of bypass the whole gatekeeping thing personally. So that's why I mean I have an opinion about it, obviously, but I'm not
Yeah.
so passionate about it because I've already, I guess you could say, for lack of a better term, I've gone past it. Like I already dealt with it, right? I dissected it and came to conclusions and went, okay, I'm at peace with this. Now I can move on to, other things that I could worry about
Right.
or care about.
It-
Grin says here, I like what he said here. At the end of the day, if you make something and you're ready to get it out into the world, then you have to be prepared. Whatever scrutiny gets fired at you from every direction, 100%. Yeah,
oh yeah.
and I don't think that's a question of a gatekeeping. That's just something if you feel like you're ready, right? If you're a comic book creator and you feel like what you have is ready to put onto the world, then yeah, go for it. Put it out into the world. In this day and age, in the age of the internet and social media, of information, just onslaught of information, right? We could just click on our profiles and boom, we're just
Yeah.
bombarded with info, right? Yeah, go for it. I mean, there's no one is stopping you other than yourself at this point.
That's true, but that's the thing. It's like, you have that drive, you have that everything. Now, if you look at it from the perspective of like, okay, say you've got that drive, you've got that. Okay, I think that my book is going to be really great, and for such and such reasons. Say I'm the gatekeeper,
Right.
and I look at your book and I say, I don't think that if you put this out now, you are going to do well. And I'll tell you the reasons why, because of A, B, C, or Y.
Right. Right.
And now, say you ignore me and you do put it out, and people read it and they do the scrutiny on you and they say, hey, this is bad because A, B, C, D.
Right.
Then you might get, or maybe they're not even that kind and say ABC. They just say, oh, it's bad, it sucks, it's this,
Yeah.
and that, and this. And
Yeah.
now that might discourage you
Yeah.
already,
Right.
and then you
Right.
won't go and do another book. But now, if you had taken my advice and I say, hey, fix ABC, and then you go back and then you come back with fixing ABC, and then you put it out, and then people will probably still say, hey, bad, whatever. But then there's a greater likelihood that maybe it will get more accepted.
Right.
So from that perspective, I would say in terms of gatekeeping, then every single editor is a gatekeeper to in a sense.
Yeah. No, for sure. For sure. And back in the day, I don't know about now. Now it's a bit more muddy because from sources that work in the industry who have told me off the record, and other people who've shared stories. The gatekeepers of today, I'm talking about Marvel and DC, the corporate owned publishers, with the exception of Image, because Image has their own gatekeepers, which is a committee of people who sit in a circle and look at all the submissions they get and decide which book they want to publish under the eye. Right.
Yeah.
So that's a form of gatekeeping too, because they get to decide, well,
Yeah.
this book is worthy of Image, but not these other ones over here.
Right.
Even though the artwork is good, the story may be even good, but it's something that's not going to fit their brand, so they don't pick it, they don't choose it. So that's a form of gatekeeping there. Now, Benjamin here asks, the question is, who gets to decide who is allowed to create a comic and who doesn't? What qualifies them? And the answer is no one gets to decide. No one. It's the person who decides to want to publish and pursue publishing is the one who decides what books are going to make. I'm certainly one.
You know, Ben, somebody who knows somebody.
Yeah, Ben, you're one. You got up and you did your book. I did my books, and everyone else who goes out into the world to get books out there. That's what we do. We don't wait for permission. We are, I guess I don't want to say trailblazers, but we definitely don't wait for permission to get our books done. The question now is the gatekeepers that we have to worry about as a reader, right? That's what we have to worry about. We, me, Ben, and you who creates comics, the gatekeepers is you, Kyle, because you get to decide. Yeah, like for instance, is it worth the pickup is a form of gatekeeping in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Because you and I read the book and you and I tell other readers, don't pick up this book. It's not worth your time and money, or actually pick up this book because it is worth your time and money. So in the way we're disseminating the information that's coming in, and based on our own knowledge and experiences, we process it, and then we share it out to everyone else who's willing to listen. Of course, you don't have to listen to us. You can say like, screw these guys. I'm still going to buy the book because I like the writer or I like the artist, and that's fine. Right. And that's okay, because if you enjoy it, great. Everyone wins. So I guess that's
I guess one of the other, issues about that though is that I think what caused so much of the rise of this gatekeeping and stuff like that is kind of what he was saying, is that part of the, what he said there is that there's too many people making comics. Like the rise of the gatekeepers that'd be an interesting title for something.
Yeah, the rise of the gatekeepers.
But the rise of the gatekeepers is because so many people started to make their own stuff, and it is, I mean, like I've got a backlog full of comic books already from just the main publishers, let alone everything else that I pick up. And so it's hard to distinguish between the vastness of everything that's coming in. So you kind of need some of those gatekeepers in a sense to filter out everything that's been coming in. So I think what he's saying is that if creators were to, I guess, maybe up their game or something along those lines, and make it be worth the paper that it's printed on, then there wouldn't be that many people that need to gatekeep everything.
Yeah. I mean, and my own personal story, the books that I shared, that first book that I told you about that was terrible, I shared it with editors. I went to their tables at the cons and, hey, I'm a writer, I'm looking for work, look, here's what I produced, consider me. And of course, it was horrible. The book was horrible all across the board. And so it wasn't, for me personally, this is my own personal story about the whole thing, is that, of course, I didn't get no emails back. I didn't get no call back, right? Because what I gave them was essentially crap. It really was amateur. It was amateur hour, essentially.
Yeah.
But since my ego was so revved up and so big, and I was blinded by, these goggles of like delusion of grandeur, it wasn't until I worked with an independent editor, right? Just an editor who just independently looks for work. And he was the first and only one to ever be brutally honest with me. But see, his approach is the approach that I now use personally whenever someone hires me to edit their books. And that is, he didn't say, oh, this sucks or this is horrible. He said, this is not working. And that word, for whatever reason, I still got pissed off, right? Because I was expecting, wow, this is amazing, man. I can't believe no one is interested in this thing, right? That was what I wanted to hear. But since he told me, no, this is not working, and let me explain to you why it doesn't work, I still got pissed, but I didn't feel attacked.
Yeah.
It was more like, okay, well, he's not attacking me, So I was able to, with gritted teeth, listen to his constructive criticism, you know. And he told me, here's why it doesn't work, because you're, on page 1, he started breaking down why this doesn't work, why the artwork is not hitting, why the execution is not, he just broke everything down, and then finally told me, you still need a lot of work. You need to study more about the craft. I recommend you get these books, right? He recommended me Will Eisner stuff. He recommended me, you should probably read scripts, go online, find some scripts that are available so you can read how they look.
Yeah.
Pick up horrible comics, try to find books that you think are horrible, read those, and then pick the books that are really good, so you could discern the difference between what is quality work and what is low quality work. And so that was a period of maybe 3 or 4 years before I even thought about publishing anything else. So for 3 or 4 years, it was just study and what I call trial runs, which was I hire artists and draw like maybe 5 to 10 page short stories, just to like get like the rhythm of like, okay, I'm starting to see now, like, okay, I'm starting to see the mistakes I made that first time I wrote a book and produced it, self-financed and what have you. And then on top of that, I realized, okay, I got to get an artist who's a bit more higher quality, who knows what they're doing, not just an artist who knows how to draw. Because the amateur artist that I hired the first time, he knew how to draw, but he didn't know how to draw sequentials. And that's a major difference.
Yeah.
He
was mainly just a cover artist.
Yeah. It's just mainly a cover. No, he was a sequential story artist, but he just didn't have the fundamental understanding in the same way I didn't have the fundamental understanding of how to write a comic book script and how to execute one. So once I went through this school of hard knocks for a few years, just by myself, just alone, spending money without ever publishing anything, because I wanted to get used to the flow of the collaborative effort of how to produce a comic book. That finally, it wasn't until maybe Reset Protocol is when I finally decided, okay, I think it's time, I'm ready now. But I still was not ready. The artist was there, right? I was able to. I was able to now understand where to find an artist who is high quality, but my storytelling ability and craftsmanship was still need a lot of work. And so everything I had done since then had all been by myself, and with the exception of that one editor. And I couldn't keep working with the editor because he was a work for hire. He was like, well, I need to get paid for this, bro. Like, I'm not going to do this for free. I'm doing this now because you're paying me, but you have to keep paying me if you wanted me to keep, looking at your stuff. So I couldn't afford him. So I had to just learn everything by myself. And took a lot of years. And now I finally feel, I guess you could say, confident in my abilities to tell a good story. And so, yeah, I guess the question is that, I guess Dave's point here, even though it was very broad and very straight to the point, when you unpack this, it boils down to two options, right? Yeah. It's one side says, how are you supposed to grow and learn if you don't do it? Whereas the other side goes, if it's horrible, don't even do it. Don't even bother until it's good. So there's a fine line there, which is there's truth in both, right? Because Marvel and DC and Image and Dark Horse and any other small press publisher that has their books on shelves today would never hire or print or publish anything that looks like crap. And some do, though.
I was going to say, have you seen some of this stuff?
We've seen examples. But for the most part, when you pick up a DC or a Marvel book, the artwork is phenomenal for the most part. Always. The writing, that's up for debate. I would say it's average.
That's a little iffy, but
a little iffy. But they never. No publisher would ever, at least I would hope so, would ever publish anything that has amateur level art.
Right. Well, and that's the thing is, like, I guess, a lot of people then would think, well, we'll look at some of the greats that had happened before, like what comes to mind is like maybe like Todd McFarlane, he started off early on in like Hulk and stuff like that, and then slowly got more and more, comfortable with drawing, and then eventually got to, the bigger books, and then became the, superstar that he is. But, I would argue and say, well, he was always good. It was just him fine tuning what he was doing. And so I guess the argument that could have been made is that, well, if he was being gate kept right from the beginning, then maybe he wouldn't have gone on to be the amazing thing that he was. So because his art wasn't, I guess, A tier, then he shouldn't have done it to begin with. But as we know, that's not the case, because Todd was already, he was good at the beginning, but you could tell he was still trying to figure out exactly his style. But then now he became great. So, but that was a different time too. Now there you have significantly more competition than he did back then. So
it's true.
It's you have a lot more, like, and that's kind of what he was talking about though, is there's a ton of company. Now some of it's good, some of it's great in in the space, but also some of it is not worth the paper it's printed on. That's what he's trying to say. So it's it's definitely interesting to try to rationalize in your head. The contrast between the two.
Oli says that Kyle is the real gatekeeper here.
That's right, 100%. What I say, it goes. My way or the highway. If I don't say it's good, then it's awful.
Ben says, Julia, show Dave's other tweet, his quiet tweet of MSC's post. I think he explains his perspective a bit more there. I was trying to look for it right now, but I was trying to pay attention to what Kyle was saying because I didn't want to just totally ignore him. So
okay, everybody else.
I'll look for it. But speaking of FMC is the Fund My Comic, the people behind Fund My Comic. I think he tweeted at me, or he responded to my post about my story about my own personal story about gatekeeping and how like I got better and how my first book was crap, and he mentioned 3 books, which is 100%. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles didn't wait for permission from any publisher. They got together and they changed the world. Like they created, this was something that's to this very day is at the same level as a Marvel or DC, because the Ninja Turtle movies and media is huge still.
It's become as a part of the vernacular as Superman.
Yeah, and they gave their all. Like even when I look at their old, like the first black and white, ash can books that I see online, the images I see online. The artwork obviously wasn't to the level of like say a Tom McFarlane or Jim Lee, but it still worked though. It was still good enough because they had a fundamental understanding of what sequential storytelling is all about, and their artwork was good too. Like they had, you could tell they had a lot of fun drawing those books.
I think it was great for what it was, and what it needed to be.
Yeah, and again, they didn't need permission. They just piled the money together, saved it, and then got their in through Diamond and got their books in shops, and the rest is history. The second book is Elf Quest, another indie book that was huge in the indie scene and also in comics too. It's a huge IP now, and it's privately owned. It's still independently owned by the couple who created it. And that's another example of that, of them not waiting for permission and providing high quality. They still provided high quality work though. It wasn't amateur. It was high quality work and fans connected to it. And they didn't need a Marvel, although later they did get published by Marvel when they got a deal, but they still kept their IP rights intact. And the third book was Bone by Jeff Smith, another example of someone who just said, I'm just going to do this book. I don't care. I'm going to put it out there. And it was also a huge success as well. So in a lot of ways, gatekeeping can come in various forms. Obviously, maybe if, say, for example, I wanted to put Ghetto Dragon and get it published by Image, they're going to gatekeep my book, right? They're going to look at it and be like, is this worth the Image brand? Can we publish this with the Image brand? I don't know. What do you think? What do you think?
Cassius? You have enough money to make us convince us that it's worth the Image brand.
Can this book make us enough money like Invincible to have it published under Image? But they're going to still gatekeep it. They can still love it, but they can still say no. So that's another form of gatekeeping that I think, I guess, in my opinion, is a little, I guess that's a little healthy, because you do want to keep your brand at a certain level. And so if you just let everyone in, right? If you just let people, I'll publish all your books, eventually you're going to see, oh, wow, this is like out of 1 out of the 30 you published, this is the only one that was good, as opposed to filtering through it and going, out of all the 30 submissions we got in, this one here is the best one. Let's publish this one. And you save yourself a bunch of headaches from the fans and readers as well.
I guess the devil's advocate aspect of that is that, well, you're saying that, Marvel, DC, Image hold themselves to a higher standard, yet the only thing that's really, there's only like 1 or 2 books in the current lineups that are already printed that are really worth it anyway. Yeah. So the argument of that they should be at a higher standard and they're gatekeeping your stuff because you're not up to par, but yet they're producing stuff that's already not up to par.
Yeah.
So then where's the disconnect? And I think that's what's happening.
Yeah. Yeah. And like I mentioned earlier, from some insiders who told me off the record, a lot of the times books get chosen, or writers and artists get chosen simply because they personally know them and they have an in, just because, oh, he's a friend of mine, so I'm gonna say yes because he's a friend of mine, as opposed to, is your book good enough for the readers? Well, readers like this stuff, and for the most part they don't. They find the readership. You always could find a readership. It's just a matter of how big you want your readership. You could put out a book and you can have 10 fans, 10 readers who will go, you know what, I like this, but it'll never go outside of 10, because those 10 can go out to their friends and go, hey, you guys should check out this book, and they're gonna read it and be like, this is no, thank you for recommending it, but no, that's not for me, So it just depends how big you want your readership. That's another I guess, I don't want to say issue, but that's another factor to play with the gatekeeping. So it's just a matter of how big you want your readership to be. Skullgrin says, stop asking for permission to basically create. Yeah, absolutely. It's your job as the creative to gradually build yourself up from the ground upwards and keep going and improve. 100%. I'm 100% with you there, Skullgrin. For me personally, that's the way it should be all across the board, but not everyone agrees. That's the thing. Not everyone agrees with that. And that's fine. That's fine too, because I can't control anyone outside of myself. I've learned to just do it, right? Like I put in the time, I put in the effort, I've invested my own money into it. I've learned from my mistakes, which is key, right? Learning from your mistakes. If you don't learn from your mistakes, you're doomed. You're doomed to stay stuck in that loop of like self-deception.
Mm-hmm. So you're in your own little bubble.
Yeah, your own little bubble, and no one can tell you you're wrong. No one can say that your books suck, because they don't get it. They don't understand my vision, and that's the main trap of the self-deception of the indie creator, is that they never want to grow a real or admit that they produced a subpar book.
Yeah.
And again, I was happy that my hard drive crashed with that book, because I don't never want to see that book again. I mean, if I had it, I would show it to you guys, because obviously I don't care anymore, but I'm just like happy, like, okay, I'm happy I don't have to deal with that one anymore, because
it's gone from existence.
Yeah. And I've grown, right? I've grown, and thank God for that editor, because if it weren't for him, I think I'd be stuck in that self-deception loop still that I was in. Yeah. And now I'm a bit more, a bit mature. And thank you, Oli.
Wow. So your book was just so bad. Not only was it bad to not be worth the paper it's printed on, but it's bad enough to crash your computer that it wanted to basically kill itself.
Freaking Oli, you're gonna kill me, bro. Oh my gosh. Oh man, that was so good. I've heard that's just my style from so many artists as an excuse. Yes, Ben. And you know what, dude? I was guilty of that too. But I could, thank God, I could look back on it and cringe, with cringe, realize that, you know what, that was a different time in my life. I'm happy now that I have you, Kyle. I'm happy now that I've matured enough as an artist to be able to take criticism and have people tell me I'm not a fan of your book or I'm not a fan of this, whatever. Which is fine because not everyone's going to like your stuff, right? It's because art is subjective. However, saying that, objectively speaking, I've learned the tools of the craft. I've learned the rules. I've learned what to do and what not to do when writing a comic book story. And that is enough for me to have enough confidence to keep doing this and keep going, even when I may have naysayers saying, yeah, I read your last book. I wasn't a fan of it. However, from that one person, I have 3 or 4 people saying, I really like your stuff. I can't wait to read more of it. And that's good enough for me. It's got to be a scale. It's always got to be a scale. If you get more bad than good, then you really got to look at yourself. Honestly, right? You have to look at yourself honestly. If you notice that I'm getting more bad reviews than I'm good, maybe I'm doing something wrong here, right?
Yeah. Well, no, it's all of them are the problem.
Yeah,
I am the one.
That's just my style. That's just my
style. It's just the way I like it. Okay, well then maybe the book is just for you, and that's okay. You can just have a book be just for you, know. But don't expect to force other people to like your stuff.
Absolutely. And then of course you got the scale. If you get more good reviews than bad, then you're doing something right. And ignore the people who are bashing your book, because if you're getting more reviews from, like say you get 90% good reviews and 10% bad reviews, hey, that's a good average. That's a good, scale. So it's just a matter of discerning and being honest with yourself, really. What it boils down to when it comes to gatekeeping. If you want to go work for Marvel and DC, say your goal is to work for Marvel and DC, expect to be gatekept every single time you go, because that's just the nature of the game. And the same thing goes for Image. The same thing goes for any kind of submission that you want to show to a publisher in hopes that your book will get published. Just know that you're walking up to a gate, and there is a gate, not a literal gatekeeper, but there is a gatekeeper there who's going to tell you, stop, give me the book. We'll look at it and we'll get back to you and let you, and we'll see if we'll let you in through this gate. And that's just the nature of the game. So don't take it personal. That's just the way it is. But if you don't want to wait for the gatekeeper, if you want to just figure out a way to go around and find another way in, then by all means, do what the Skull Grin says. Just go and do it. Just do it. Just do it, but it's going to be harder. It's going to be a harder road to get there. So don't
let your dreams be dreams. Just do it.
Oh man. Skullgrin says it's fine if you don't agree, but at the same time, jumping into the idea without even properly thinking about it first is always a guaranteed failure. Granted, it's good to try and take risk on the thing that you make, but it's good to have a contingency plan in case things are work. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, 100%. It's a bouncer. Yeah, in a lot of ways, it is a bouncer. But yeah, 100% Skullgrin. Yeah, it's always have a contingency plan, and that's what I did when Ghetto Dragon didn't meet the goal back in last year in October. That's what I did. I retreated back and go, okay, what do I need to change? What do I need to do in order to get myself out there more? Because that's what it boiled down to. That it boiled down to my reach. My reach wasn't far enough yet, and that's why I decided to do the online store, because it was a better way for me personally to gain a reach without having to speed through the 30-day, campaign time. Now I have time to breathe. I have time to really go to the Facebook groups and work with them for a bit, and then go to another group and work with them for a bit and not rush. And it's a great feeling. It really is.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's safe to say that gatekeeping is a real thing, even though Skullgrin hates it, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that either. It's just that it exists. It's real.
It's the nature of the beast.
It's the nature of the beast. We can't fight. Especially if you want to make it in the mainstream, there are always going to be gates there. But if you don't want to go through that, go through the indie route. It's just a lot harder. You have to put a lot more time and a lot more effort into.
You have to really make yourself. You really have to make yourself stand out.
Yes.
You have to make sure that it's like what you work on is not like everybody else. You need to be able to stand out amongst the crowd and show your worth. And
Marvel and DC. Yeah, no, absolutely. 100%, Kyle. You hit it right in the head. And you know what? And for the record, guys, Kyle is not your typical reader who just goes to the cons. I mean, he does it. He goes to the cons and meets his favorite writers and artists and gets commissions from them and signatures from them. He does all that, but he also does go to the indie press section.
Oh, yeah.
And he actually looks through the tables to try to find the next Ninja Turtles or the next Elf Quest. And he's all about, finding new voices in the indie comic book sphere. So he's read countless indie books. And I
tell you, not all of them are great. I'll tell you. Some of them, they're good ones. They're really good ones, but not all of them are great. And so it's tough.
So he comes from a good place because he does what most readers should be doing, which is when you go to cons, go to your favorite tables, go to your favorite artist tables and talk with them and hang out with them, but also check out the indie scene because you never know, you might find the next gem and be the first one to find it before everyone else catches on. Skullgrin goes on to say Marvel and DC have become so bloated and constantly lumbering in their cycle of nonstop repetitive stories that maybe it's time we just don't need them anymore, especially considering we have variety, which is I think that's the best. That's the best approach and the best thinking process of that. But never take every rejection that you receive from any comic book publishing company like it's personal. That's going to make you very bitter, very insecure, dude. For sure, man. Justin says, "But what if I make the best book I can, but Kyle trashes me?"
Then you go and you start a online podcast with me talking about.
There you go. Oh man, Justin, don't ever change. Meant to be this. Okay, so if one person, or maybe even two or three like the work you've done, it's a chance that you have found your audience, but it's going to be very small to start off with. 100%. Yeah. Which leads me to my online shop.
Oh, nice.
So, as I mentioned, crowdfunding was very difficult on me, very tasking on me last year because it took away a lot of time from family, other things that I had to take care of. It pretty much I was spread out too thin. So when Ghetto Dragon didn't fund like I had hoped, again, like Skullgrin mentioned, I felt a little small. I felt like, what did I do wrong? I did something wrong here, and that no one to blame but myself, because obviously it's up to me, right? I'm the guy who's putting it out there, so I should do the work and the legwork. So I retreated back and really thought about what I wanted to do going forward when 2026 came around, and I told myself I still want to do crowdfunding, but I don't want to do multiple crowdfundings a year because it's just too much. I just can't do it. Maybe if I were a single guy, right? If I was still single and I had no kids, and I'll do it. I don't care.
Yeah, going.
Yeah, I'm gonna do 5 crowdfunders a year. That kind of deal. But Since I don't have that luxury anymore, I got to pace myself differently, you know. So I decided, well, dude, I have enough books now. I could just open up my own shop and start to, spread out a bit more, start to go outside the sphere of crowdfunding and try to find actual readers who go to shops who don't want to crowdfund because they don't like the idea of waiting a year for their book. They like to buy their book and get it within 2 or 3 days after buying it, if need be, if they order it online, or they go to the shop. I'll just go to the shop and buy my books. So that's what I did here for Lucid Comic Shop. As of now, Asset 13 is no longer on pre-order. It's now for sale. So if you buy your copy today, you're going to get your book within 3 to 4 days. So
nice.
It's ready, dude. It's fully ready. Asset 13 is available right now. $15, $6 shipping and handling. And it's a 68 page book. It has a 14-page preview of the next project called Samuel Zion. And you get the 44-page story here, one shot, black and white, Asset 13, The Last Thanksgiving, which is a tale about the Curtis family coming together for Thanksgiving, but they don't expect an uninvited guest who comes in and crashes their dinner. And what follows is a horrendous situation that so bad that it involves the U.S. government in a cover-up. So that's all I'll say about it. But that's what this book is about. Asset 13, The Last Thanksgiving, drawn by Greg Warrenchak, written by me. This was a project that was supposed to be a B-level horror movie, independent horror movie. Now that we're talking about independent movies. And so it didn't work out. And so I, fast forward a year or two, I was looking through my old hard drive because I had bought a new one. So I was transferring a bunch of stuff over and kind of leaving the old stuff in the old hard drive. And I came across the screenplay that I wrote for this movie. And I thought, you know what, this would be a pretty cool comic book. And so I contacted the co-writer, which was Chris Hicks, asked for his permission and blessings to make this into a comic book. And thankfully he said, yes, go ahead. And the rest is history. Greg Warrenchak did a fantastic job with this project. He is a fan of horror. And he is also a fan of John Carpenter, which is exactly what I was channeling when I wrote this story. So it just worked out beautifully. The stars aligned for this project. And it's I'd be lying to you if I said it was a passion project, but it's not. It was just a work for hire. but
like, it was always my dream ever since I was a young child, waking up in the middle of the night thinking about this book. And I stopped every single day after school.
Saying that, what I was writing. Lie to us, Julius.
You're gatekeeping the information.
Yeah, I'm gatekeeping the information, aren't I? But as I wrote it, I fell in love with it. I really did, because if I didn't love it, I wouldn't have made it into a comic book. I would have just let it go and be like, that was something I did years ago. I got paid for it. Cool, But when I reread the screenplay, I was like, dude, I have to make this book into a comic book. The story is so damn good. I had so much fun doing it. I ended up falling in love with it, and that's why I pursued it. And here it is, brand new, not crowdfunded, ready to go, and shipped to your home address. And if you sign up for my Substack newsletter, a free one, you will get a 15% discount code and a free PDF of Asset 13 without the Samuel Zion preview. So there's that for that. And for that. So next in line will be Samuel Zion, which is right here. That's going to be next in line. I'm waiting for a cover from a cover artist that I think you guys will like, or I should say love. And it's going to be a great cover, guys. He already sent me the thumbnails for it, the sketch. And I can't wait to unveil it to you guys, but I'm gonna wait. So once I unveil it,
the excitement.
Yeah. And once I unveil it, Samuel Zion will be available for pre-order, and then you guys will be able to order your copy of that. It's going to be a cool thing I'm going to do. I'm not going to, like I said, I'm not going to talk about what I'm going to do yet. But after Samuel Zion, then next in line will be Vigilant Fury with a new cover that you see right there on the screen, drawn by Robert Geronimo. And if you guys don't know who Robert Geronimo is, you better get on it because he's one of the great. I think, in my opinion, he is one of the best indie artists today. It's just, he takes his time with his art, and rightfully so, because I mean, look at that beauty of Vigilant Fury up there. So
that's great, man.
Yeah, it's gonna be great. But yeah, Samuel Zion's next in line. Asset 13 is currently available. The codes, I will say, the discount codes that you will get for Substack will expire on June 9th. So just a FYI. So don't wait to use the code, because if you wait until after June 9th, you won't have the code anymore. That's going to be something I'm going to do going forward. So you had an entire month of May to order the entire month of May to pre-order your copy with the discount code. And so no excuses, guys. Sorry.
I know.
So get your copy today.
Right now. Go.
Freddie, is that you? Dude.
Wow.
Oh, damn, I made it. What's up, Freddie? Good to see you again, buddy. It's been a while, man. Ben is stoked for Samuel Zion. I gave Ben a sneak peek of Samuel Zion, and he loved it. So I can't wait for you guys to check out Samuel Zion. It's one of my I think it's some of my best work, honestly. Samuel Zion, I believe so, because Samuel Zion hits all the notes that I've been wanting to hit ever since I wrote comic books. High concept, out there, and a story that gets you hooked.
So ever since you were a young boy, waking up in the morning, you had this dream of Samuel Zion that you just couldn't get out of your mind, and this is what you decide.
Yes. I like what Skullgrin said here, but it depends on how good or how bad you make the work you're trying to do. Also, how much you're putting yourself into that work and how committed you are to make it. And that's 100%. He's just dropping the dimes today, man. I love that, dude. Yeah, I love that.
Every single thing that he's saying, man, is great.
I like Skullgrin. He and I follow each other on X, and he always comes with the takes too, and he's bold. I like that. I like boldness. I like when people just say what they want, and who cares what people think.
So, I'm just gonna no filter, just go through and say what I want, and you guys figure out what I mean afterwards.
Yeah. No, he's pretty clear. Just for the record, he's clear. He's not vague or anything. He's actually very he just doesn't care. He just says it, and I like that. I respect that. So, guys, there you go. That's my online shop, elusivecomic.com. You can find it on my tree link, on my X, on Instagram, and even here on YouTube, right there, that QR code you see in the corner there. You can just scan that QR code up there with your phone, and it'll take you right to my tree link, and you take you right to the website, and there you can order your copy of Asset 13. Again, you order it today, you'll get it within 2 to 4 days. So, come on.
The link is also in the chat. Thank you, Ben.
Yes, thank you, Ben, for sharing the link in the chat. So, speaking of gatekeeping, let's keep the topic at hand here. It's been a while since we've done this, but I'm happy that we're doing this now because I miss it. This is one of my favorite parts of the show because other review channels on YouTube just do the basic review of like they liked it, they didn't like it, but what Kyle and I do here is that Kyle leads it through the perspective of the reader, and he provides a very detailed breakdown as to why he enjoyed what he read, and I provide the editorial writer perspective to kind of see, well, he could have done this differently, or they could have done that, and it would have been cooler if they did, or better if it did, whatever. And so welcome back. The segment that you all love.
Oh, yes.
Is it worth it? Kyle.
That's right.
Take it away.
All right. Yes, this is my section. I get to go and talk about the books, trash them, Yes, I do. But the thing is, I don't just trash for trash. I don't say it's bad because it's bad. All right, I like to show books that I have read in my collection or what I picked up, and be a gatekeeper in that sense. So I'm saying if this something is worth your time and money. And I always, like Julia said, we go into this not just because we say something's good because it's good or bad because it's bad. We want to actually dissect the book, see how it's, written, what the story is like, the plot. Um, we want to make sure that if we do have any problems with the book, that we list them out, methodically and say, hey, this didn't work because of this and this, or this didn't work because you needed to maybe change this around, or maybe add in this story here, and maybe that would have explained it. Things to, because we want to make sure that the books are as best as they possibly can be. And so in this, what we've done, I was looking through all the books that I had written or I read recently, and one of them did stand out. Now I am very behind on all my current books that I am reading. So I put this one because it wasn't like I was trying to keep up with the ones that I knew were always good. So I always was reading those. And so I took some time to read some of my backlog that I had picked up. And one stood out. One stood out way more than the rest. And a surprising one, to be, frank. And that is The Fury of Firestorm by DC Comics. Now, I've always liked Firestorm as a character. I think he's always way underutilized for the powers that he has. If you are not a huge fan of Firestorm or know much about him, it's good because after reading this story, they kind of are doing a complete overhaul of the character, and they're implementing stuff from his past, and they're kind of generating this new version of Firestorm, which I'm really excited about. And basically, Firestorm, a broad overview, is that it's not one person that's this character. He's actually two people. You have the jock, whose name was, hang on, give me a minute. I forgot what his name was for a second. Again, I'm not like that huge of a character. I've always kind of just liked him as a character. I think his name is Robbie Reyes, I think it is, or something along those lines. Anyway, I'll get into it later. But hey, stop scrolling. I'm still talking.
Sorry, Alex.
It's the jock and then Professor Stein, who creates this firestorm matrix, is what he calls it. And anyway, there was an explosion, and the two fused together, where Robbie, who's the jock, is the body of Firestorm, and then Professor Stein is like a Jarvis in his head that's telling him how to use this character. And basically, he has the powers to change the elements in real time. So kind of like what Adam Eve does in Invincible, but just on a more grander scale. Okay. So this book, which is written by Jeff Lemire and art by Raphael de la Tour. I've heard of Jeff Lemire before. When I told Julius that he was writing this, his ears perked up because he knew Jeff Lemire and he knew that he was a pretty good writer. So I'm like, okay, well, that might give it some hope for it. And so this story starts off almost like Genesis from the Bible in terms of stuff, because it follows similar beats where it starts off with, the first line says, on the first day, the nuclear man descended from the heavens. Very biblical. They're all like from the get-go, they're establishing that Firestorm is going to be a next level character. And It's I didn't mean that ironically. I'm like, that sounded familiar because that's literally the title of their new system. It's called Next Level. Right. I honestly didn't. That was actually a very big coincidence that I said that. I didn't plan on saying that. But basically, he crash lands. He goes into the town. We know that something's off with him. He doesn't seem like himself. And then basically he just decides that he wants to, be a god in a sense. And he just decided to experiment with his powers and decided to make the whole town glass and chalk just to see how that would look.
Wow, that's it? No other reason than that?
No, he says that he said he wanted to experiment what his powers would be, so he decided to do that, and then the people freaked out, and then he decided, well, maybe we need to change things because these people don't know what I want, or the idea of normal is an illusion. So I'm just going to turn everybody into glass and chalk as well. And so he just completely just froze everybody. Whoa. This whole town.
Dang.
Yeah. And then what was really interesting was later on the fifth day, he's saddened by what he has done and realizes that he did a mistake. But then it's like a roller coaster ride where he's like, well, okay, he says now emotion is no longer needed. And now I'm just going to basically just destroy everything. And
I have to say, let me just quickly comment here. The art is really good in this.
I know.
Series. It's really good.
And then like you scroll down a little bit more, like, I mean, it gets a little, gruesome there where he's like fusing people together.
Oh, wow. Whoa.
And I love the menacing dead expression that he has.
Yeah.
While doing it.
Yeah. Wow.
And that it's his great work. And then, continuing with the, the Bible, Genesis creation, stuff like that. On the seventh day, he rested, and as the whole city burned. So that was quite like that was pretty much exactly what I wanted from an opening.
That's a very good opening. Story. Very strong opening. It hooks you right away. Doesn't give you a lot. And now you're hooked. And how many pages was this? What?
That was just pages? 1, 2, 3. 4 pages.
Nice. Very nice.
So in 4 pages, you're already hooked by saying, okay, obviously something's wrong. Why is it wrong? What's causing Firestorm to do this? And what, what's going on with him and all this stuff. So you're already hooked because you're all like, okay, well, give me. And then you're throwing in the whole, creation.
Sorry, I was just laughing at Freddie's comment here.
Firestorm's off his hands. Yeah. I mean, basically, he might.
That was good, Freddie.
The underlying tone of God and creation and stuff like that. Absolute cool. Power type of thing. Anyway, so then it cuts to now this is the part of the story where it's like I don't really know too much about the backstory of Firestorm because we catch up with this woman, and I assume she was either a love interest for the character. At some point in the story, basically they come and they say, hey, we need you. Something's going on with Firestorm. Ronald Raymond, that's his name. That's the jock. And then Martin Stein. And so here they kind of, get you into, if you don't know who Firestorm is, they literally kind of explain it to you. They just tell you, they give you a little bit of a rundown of his origin, how they fused together, and then they became that. And then they even do a little bit of meta stuff, and then they say, that, his powers have been in flux this whole time. That's the reason why he looks different in different iterations. Not because we had different stories and different writers and different stuff all the time. It was because his powers were in flux. That was the reason why it was different. So you scroll down, they show all the different versions of Firestorm that has happened throughout the years.
I see. Okay.
So I mean,
That's
that's a
pretty
kind
cool.
of interesting way of
Yeah.
like, well, okay, that's easy enough to explain. It's like, all right, if you want to do that. But then is that kind of basically saying that all of that what happened before is still canon, or are they kind of just like starting over? I don't know, because I'm not a huge Firestorm fan, like I said, but
Right.
anyway, so this woman, her name is Firehawk, which is kind of a stupid name, but I mean, because like they show her costume later, and I mean, Phoenix would be a better name. I always thought, because when I was rereading the story, I forgot what her name was, and I was just thinking, I might as well just call her Phoenix. But I'm like, oh, but yeah, I forgot.
Yeah,
Phoenix is
no, Marvel
usually
owns that.
Yeah, so Firefox or whatever, Firehawk, whatever. So they could have thought of something better.
I want to ask you something off. No, not completely off, but are you a fan of the broken up lines for whispering, or do you prefer the text to be smaller for the whispering?
Oh, that's a good question.
Yeah, because I prefer the smaller text for the whispering than this. I mean, what do you guys think? The chat, if you guys are still watching, what do you guys think? What are your thoughts on that? Because I've always gone back and forth about it, and personally, I like the smaller text.
Yeah, I would say I would probably do smaller text for whisper. When I see it broken up like that, I would say that would be used for if it's a different language.
Really?
Yeah.
They usually have brackets for that. They usually
I know,
brackets.
but it would be more distinct if it was like this. So like if it was like alien language or something like that. Maybe like
well, I mean, it's a nitpick of mine. I would prefer the text to be smaller for the whispering, personally.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I guess because she has super hearing, it doesn't really matter.
Okay. Well, there you go.
Yeah. So anyway, basically the military guys are all like, hey, he just like destroyed a whole town. We're gonna go in it and take him out unless you can, convince us otherwise, or try to talk him down or something. And so it's just a bunch of back and forth with them explaining the situation. Oh, okay, yeah, she was his ex-boyfriend. So I guess
that makes. I mean, that's you
could infer that from reading it. Let's see. They're talking and they're basically just saying that, yeah, they go to the base. You can keep scrolling. Like a lot of this stuff is mainly just them giving some background to the city and like what he's done and stuff like that. And, going to the base.
Really good work, man. Wow. I'm really impressed with this artist.
That's the thing. It's like, it's not like even with the just the generic, like, like, all right, come on, let's get to the story. And then, just the dialogue, it's still good art showing everything, which is good. And then, so yeah, there's her costume.
Very nice. Very nice. I like that.
But like when I see that, I think that would be a good name for Phoenix.
Yeah. Yeah. Firehawk, yeah, maybe not Firehawk. Maybe is this an established character, or is this?
That's the thing, is I don't know. That's it could be established, or it could be they're changing it. But I don't, because I'm not a huge fan of Firestorm. I don't entirely know.
Yeah, you're right. I think they could have picked but I guess it depends on whether or not this is an established character from this lore, from the Firestorm lore. So it could have been the fact that he couldn't change the name because it's already been, used. But yeah, it's a cool design. I like her design. It's cool.
Yeah. So anyway, and then part of this dialogue, this important dialogue that they showed is that basically they said, I don't know, this was kind of like a interesting dialogue where it's just like the intel that we got. They said if the intel we got is accurate, Dr. Martin Stein is no longer part of the Firestorm Matrix, and that Raymond is only piloting himself. Which is like, how would they know that though? That's the thing. Like it's like it's like it's an instrument of his own mind. So I don't know. That's kind of like a hand waving bit there. But anyway, yeah, they go to the city. and she's in shock and saying, "Oh, that could never happen." And he's just sitting there, just like
You're
basking
just
in it.
waiting. Yeah. By the way,
Um,
I love how they did the lettering here for her, the word balloon with their color scheme. Really cool.
yeah.
Nice touch. Nice touch.
Well, and they do it with him too, with
Oh
Maya.
yeah,
So
that's
they,
cool. I like I like that. I like when the letterers decide, you know what, I'm gonna just do distinctive, word balloons for the major characters. I'm a fan of that. It's really cool.
yeah. And so he's kind of freaking out, and then the guys are all like, "Hey, stand down," and then he just like
Oh,
kills them.
whoa, dude.
Yeah.
Oh man, look at that.
I know.
Oh, dang. Was that liquid? Did he make them
That's
into
the thing is
liquid?
like it's maybe water, or they just like he just exploded him, or maybe
Shrek.
it's it could have been like maybe a PG-13 where it could have just been blood, but
Right,
I
right.
kind of like it not being super distinguished, because then you can kind of fill in the blank of
Yeah.
like, well, maybe it was like Hostess cream filling or something. I don't know.
What the hell,
That
dude? Are you serious?
powers those. He can do that.
I mean, you're right. That, here, man, you're like, oh my god, he killed Daryl. How did he kill him? He made him into cream
This
cheese.
is so good.
Wait, you mean this is the person? Oh, yeah. I thought that was free cream cheese.
Anyway, I guess maybe it was ironic. Maybe it was water, because he said Raymond killed Waters, and
There you
so
go.
he turned him into water. So anyway, they're basically saying like the girlfriend saying that's not him. So if that's, and they're like, well, if that's not him, then who is he? And then this is when we get a little bit of a cut, and I like that there's a distinction with the art style, is that it goes into like older, like almost like
70s.
70s
Dude,
vibe.
70s. That's cool, dude. I love that. Yeah, because even the lettering's like that. Look at the lettering here with the the thought bubble.
Yeah, it's the thought bubble, and you can tell that it's still, I mean, like look at Mr. Stein's like detail in his face and stuff like that. It's very immaculately detailed. Something I would say it was a little bit like, you look at the kind of detail that Firestorm has versus Martin Stein.
Yeah,
and it's like it's pretty distinct there. So you still know it's not like that, but it's interesting. So basically,
right down to the
is like,
pose. Look at that. Look at that 70s hero pose.
I know, it was great seeing
Beautiful.
that.
Yeah, this is why Jeff Lemire is who Jeff Lemire is, because he does stuff like this that's just kind of like, you can't deny the guy's talent. Like, he's really good at this kind of stuff. But yeah, this is great. I love this. Even the buildings, the backgrounds, like the whole thing, it was great. I love this.
I know. And then look, if you scroll down, like even the Superman type pose where the hands on the hip, and
I love that.
Stop, criminal, and and so basically you're finding out that this is like a dreamscape thing that he's in. So he's fighting this werewolf monster, and he turns a bus. That's why he brought the cream filling up, is because he turns a bus into cake.
Nice.
And then throws the cake at the monster, at the werewolf or whatever.
Or he throws the werewolf at the cake.
Or that too.
Wow.
No, I guess,
cool,
I guess he
dude.
shoots him into the cake.
I see.
And so then he's like, well, something seems off. And then you get cut to this really like mindscape.
Yeah,
thing.
That's what it looks like. Yep.
And then you get, he's afraid. And then you find out that it's the Matrix itself that has taken over and basically shut out the other two personas.
Interesting. Okay.
Take over himself.
I belong to no one.
Yeah, so he destroys him, and then we're back to the beginning on a loop. So we're in an infinite loop in his own mind. And I love that shot right there where he's like, you show his eye as that's all happening within his mind. And you see that the text is slowly
it's changed again. Yeah.
Going back to normal. And then he goes and burns up the other guy, and then sends sends her off.
Very cool.
And yeah, I like his powers too. I love the little atomic symbol that he has on his hand.
I also love the SFX lettering here, the Shreks and all that stuff is really good. Well done.
Yeah. And so then you keep going. It basically, she just lands back at the base. And she says, there's nothing that we can do. He's way beyond us. We need to find the only person that knows anything about him, which is the professor. And so then you get this teaser where at the very last page you find out the professor is like this hermit that is like burning up all these documents, and you find out that it's Project Firestorm, that all the project details. And then there's one, the last bit, if you scroll down, the last panel, where it shows, is it sentient?
Lovely. Wow.
And that's how it ends.
That's cool. Now, kudos to Lucas Gattoni. That's a very, very well done lettering on his part. I want to give him credit because I really did love the lettering in this issue. So giving him his flowers, because I love, lettering is such a important and vital part of the comic book reading experience, that if you can have the best artwork and you can have the best written script, but if your lettering sucks, dude, it takes you all out of that experience. So
I know.
I'm always happy to see when letterers really put in effort and make the lettering, worthwhile to admire. Because I letter my own stuff, so I always look at that now going forward when I read books, see how the lettering is. But wow, man, this sounds like a fantastic read in the series too. A great setup too.
That's what I was saying. Like it hooked you from the beginning, and then it gave you, the interesting, aspect of like he's in his own world, inside his own mind, and that world is like the old 70s, 80s world.
Yeah, I love that. That was cool. That was a nice touch.
And so, when I instantly saw that, what instantly came to mind was Miracle Man. And apparently I wasn't the only one, because on the app that I use to track all my books and stuff, you can also read the reviews of books, and a lot of people also had the same idea. And I think that is a really good idea, that if DC is really trying to make Firestorm basically their version of Miracle Man, I think that's going to be pretty cool, because it's a character that kind of already almost had that similar of powers and identity, with like split personalities and stuff like that. So it's a very logical leap to go to. And I've always felt Firestorm was a very underrated character to begin with in terms of power. Most people always just think that he's just a fire guy,
right?
And that's it. It's like, no, he's like so much more powerful than just being fire. But because his name's Firestorm and he's got a flaming head, people just think, he's just like a Human Torch.
He's just like a cheap version of a firebender.
Yeah, and it's like, no, he's like, and I'm glad that they're really showing his power. Yeah, and showing that like he can just like wipe off people off the face of the earth, and like I said, turn them either into water or Hostess cream filling. And so,
see, this is what I love the most about when a superstar writer like Jeff Lemire takes on a character that's considered to be a B, C list character and just pumps new life into it.
Yeah.
And I missed that the most. But back when I would read comics at a younger age in the late 90s and early 2000s, whenever a writer or an artist would break through, meaning they produced their own, again, keeping in theme with the gatekeeping, when they broke through and they had a very successful, not a highly successful, but a successful print run of a self-published book that they put together and they went out and sold to, at cons and handed them out to, editors and whatnot, they would always give them, let's see how you do with these, with our B and C characters. And a lot of the time they would just pump new life into them and eventually make them into A-list characters. The prime example I could think of is Daredevil. So after Frank Miller, right? After he left, Daredevil kind of went back down to a B level, C level character because who could follow Frank Miller, right? And then of course Ann Nocenti took over after that, and she did a great job too. But after that, it was pretty much like it kind of went into limbo. And so when Kevin Smith came about and brought the character back, he raised him up back to an A-list. Same thing for Punisher with Garth Ennis and Steve Dillon, their run. And so I'm happy to see that someone like a Jeff Lemire got a hold of this character and said, I got something interesting I could tell with this character. And you could tell just by, I haven't read the issue yet. I'm just going by your review. Yeah. But just by looking at the pages and you breaking down the story, I'm already hooked. I'm like, I want this book now. I want to read this. I know. Because it's really interesting. And I love that.
It is. And that's the thing that made it stand out so much amongst everything else. Like, and that's what kind of saddens me though, because I think it's from what I understand, it's just a 6-issue miniseries,
which is fine.
I mean, it's fine, but like if I was just thinking like, man, if we had this level of stuff and this was like an ongoing series, like that would have been really good to look at. But I'll take the 6 issues right now and see how it goes. But yeah, it's one of those where it was really good. Now that's the problem that arises though, is because I did read the second issue, and the reason why I say it's like, if you're doing a 6-issue miniseries, then every single issue has to be a standout issue, especially if it's something like this. The second issue, I have it and I read it, and it's basically just going over the history of Firestorm and showing like how he became Firestorm, the dynamics between him and the professor, the explosion, some of the history and stuff. It has some cool dialogue. Like it still continues the story, but a good chunk of it is dedicated to just the relationship between him and the professor, and then now the relationship between them and this new Firestorm itself.
The Matrix Firestorm
itself. Yeah. So it's I would, that's the thing though, is like I wish that it was a little bit more of the story, because we kind of got some of the backstory already in the first issue.
Yeah.
So it's like we're kind of retreading ground a little, because we, you already did like the quick backstory of like, okay, well, it's the professor and the jock, and they fused together and fought people, and it kind of expanded that. So I felt most of it was unnecessary, but like the art in it saved a lot of it.
Yeah,
for
sure.
The art really helped that the second issue. But for this issue, going back to this first issue, man, it was phenomenal.
I have to say, based on what I saw when the jock character realizes that he's trapped in a mind loop with this Matrix who appears evil. Now I'm curious why he's crying in this panel. Is it the Matrix evil crying in this panel, or is it the jock who came back and realized, oh my God, what happened? And he started crying. It'd be interesting to see if he follows through on this panel, because again, I know it's not a contradiction, because I know Jeff Lemire is capable and I know he's talented. So there's a reason why this panel exists. And I hope as you read on, Kyle, and hopefully if I could get my hands on the first and second issue, if they're still available, we'll get to find out what happened here and why he's crying. Because it'd be interesting to find out how complex that character is. Because it's from what it appears, he might be a complicated character.
Yeah. Or at least trapped, just like Well, and that's the thing. It's like it read like he was just trying to figure out, like
Yeah.
almost like he's like a baby, and
Yeah.
this is the first
Yeah.
time he's experiencing existence, but yet he's
Mm,
got the powers that he can do whatever he wants.
right.
So he's experimenting with powers. He's trying to understand what he's doing, with the reality of what he's doing, and then changing reality to match what he wants to do. So that's why it's like it hooks you when you first read it. So,
well, I'll say it does. Yeah. Great stuff all around. Very surprising how good it is. And, I guess in a lot of ways I shouldn't be surprised because DC Comics has been delivering on all cylinders, have been hitting all cylinders, I mean, and delivering in spades of just quality book after quality book. So I'm happy that I'm hoping this gains traction. And
yeah.
I'm not sure if it has yet, but it should because it has a strong intro to this character, and the idea is really interesting enough for even me wanting to pick it up and actually finish it myself. So, final thoughts, Kyle, and your final decision: is Firestorm issue 1 for what's that, next level? Was that the
Next level,
all in? Is it worth the pickup?
Yes, I would definitely say definitely pick up the first issue. It's like we said, as we've gone over, it hooks you right away. The art by Delatour is really, really on, really peak. The writing from Jeff Lemire, it's not overly written. It flows very well. I think it's a really good issue because it gives you enough to where it's like, okay, who is this character? All right, we give you a little bit of like who this character is from the backstory. We tell you a little bit of his origin.
Yeah.
We tell you, okay, there's been different versions. Here's some background on him, what his powers are, and then what he's capable of, and then the hook of like, well, all this power that he has is now uncontrollable, and what's that going to lead to? And it's something that's definitely makes me want to pick up the second issue as well, as obviously I did.
Yeah.
But it's definitely something that I would say if you're not reading this series, definitely check it out. I highly recommend checking it out. Like I said, issue 2 did dip for me a little because it is mainly backstory, but I think it does help if you're not a Firestorm reader, as I know of the character. Like I said, I do like the character, but I'm not a huge person of the character. It doesn't really go more into like, if you just know the character, it kind of just goes more into what you kind of like ethereally know about the character.
Right.
It doesn't really dive deep much into it, but it, like I said, in terms of the history aspect of it, but it does kind of contrast that with what they're trying to do with the character now. So I would definitely pick up the second issue as well, just to continue it. But yeah, definitely check out the first issue. It's definitely worth the pickup. I've used definitely a lot, and that's monologue.
Yeah, no, I mean you hit it right on the head. So there you have it, folks. The Fury of Firestorm, issue 1, written by Jeff Lemire and art by. Let me just scroll all the way down here. Is it? I mean, he has a first name too, Kyle. It's not just Delatour.
Raphael. Well, that's the thing, is because there's the Conan the Barbarian artist that's also named Delatour.
I see. Okay.
So I didn't want to say the wrong name, so I just
okay. Right. Fair enough. Fair enough. So yeah, Raphael Delatour is the artist. Letters by Lucas Gattani. I was really impressed with the lettering, and colors by Marcelo Maulo, which is actually also, the colors were pretty great too.
Yeah.
And so there you have it. It's worth the pickup. Check it out if you haven't already. If you're on the fence, Hey, there you go. You got the stamp of approval by Kyle.
The gatekeeper Kyle.
Gatekeeper Kyle. And if you've never heard of the Fury of Firestorm, then now you have, and hopefully this convinced you to go check it out, even though it looks like he probably gave you spoilers on the first issue.
Well, yes. But it's still a good read, though. I would suggest still reading it and, picking
for sure. At least you get to own it. You'll own it, and it'll be your copy and everything. So that there you have it, guys. Is it worth the pickup? Yes, it is. Firestorm is worth the pickup. Go check it out. I will probably go check it out myself if there's any copies left. If not, then I can just borrow from Kyle, and I can just read it and give it back to him, like we did back in the day. To wrap up, Tim Olson, welcome, sir. Tim Olson. I believe Tim Olson also is a comic book creator. I believe he has a book coming out. I see him always posting pictures. I don't know if this is the same Tim Olson or not. You could correct me if I'm wrong. But he's also an indie creator, at least that I know of. I know a Tim Olson on X who posts images of his upcoming work. But he wrote here, it's here's my response to the whole gatekeeper thing. It's indie comics. Indie anything means you don't need anyone's permission to make a book. So okay, there you go. Okay, so what the gatekeepers,
man.
No, it's just that his comment came in and it like pushed the other comment before I could hit it. So what the gatekeepers say, and yes, there it is, Melvin. Yeah, he is the creator of Melvin. Welcome to the show. Absolutely, dude. I don't know if you caught the show, but essentially that's what we kind of came to the conclusion of, is that if you're indie, go ahead and do it, but don't be afraid to grow. Don't be afraid to take constructive criticism if your stuff is not up to par or up to the level of what it needs to be, because that's the whole thing with indie books, is that the work is harder if you go through the independent route. The other gatekeeping comes from readers who decide whether or not they want to pick up your book. So It's up to you to sell them, to pitch, and if they like what they see on your table or on your website, whatever, and they go, hey, this looks pretty good, I'm going to get a copy. That's a form of gatekeeping in that realm of thinking, of that way of the readership. But for artists and creators, the other form is pretty much like if you want to get hired at Marvel or DC or Image, there's gatekeepers there who decide whether or not they want to publish you, and so on and so forth. But yes, Tim, I'm 100% with you. If you are passionate about it, if you love telling stories in this medium, if you love comic books and have read them for a long time, or you discovered them a year ago and you instantly fall in love with it, then go ahead and pursue it. Go for it. But just remember, there is always a price to pay. Because if you put out a book out there and the art's not good, the story is not well executed, the readers are going to read it and be like, I'll support you, but I'm not going to pick up the next book, Yeah. And that's just the nature of the game. So he says readers should always be what you go by. Yeah, absolutely.
100%.
So great show, guys. Thank you, Kyle, for coming back.
Yeah.
I'm happy that I finally was able to afford to upgrade you and the AI system to get you to come back on the show. and for the record, the reason why he's back is because his team lost. But
well, we don't need to mention that.
Because if they didn't lose, he wouldn't be here. He would have been at the game.
Well, that besides the point. Comics is why it's community. That's why I'm here. Yeah. It's everything that we do here. We talk to people. We hang out.
Yeah.
We make sure that we get to know others. It's one of the things that we want to continue to do because it's 100%. Fun. It's creating the community. Getting to get to know you, and it's getting experiences, and how what I always say is you always gotta build those experiences.
There you are. There's the Kyle we all know and love. Guys, so thank you again for hanging out with us. If you guys are new to the channel and new to the show, thank you for coming on and hanging out with us. For those who came back because you guys love hanging out with us, thank you again for coming and hanging out with us on a Friday night. For those who are new, make sure to subscribe, hit that notification bell, leave a comment, hit the like button. And Kyle and I wanted to create a space where we can talk about whatever we want to talk about and not get insulted, not get, what do you call it? What's the word? Not insulted. Oh gosh, I totally went blank.
What are you talking about?
I had a whole monologue in my head, but no, this is a place.
A very high production budget show. Very well written, lots of notes, dialogue.
Yeah, Academy Award
winning whatsoever.
Academy Award winning. Offended. Thank you, Freddie. See, Freddie knows. Yeah. Maybe I should replace you with Freddie, Kyle.
Okay, sure. Have him go and be the ecstatic guy that goes and does all the reviews and reading and stuff like that. I like to see you replace me. Go ahead.
So yeah, not offended. Yeah, we talk about everything. Everything's on the table. We're all here to just have a good time. We could agree to disagree, no problem. And that's what Let's Talk About is all about. And I'm glad to be back. I'm happy to be back, and we're hoping we can stay for as long as we can to talk about comics, talk about movies, or talk about anything that involves the culture. And that's what it's all about. So come back next time for Let's Talk About It. The topic can be any kind of topic you like. If you guys want to recommend a topic, we have no problem hearing you guys out. So if you guys could leave a comment, or you could follow me on X, on Instagram, or TikTok even. Check out my tree link. My tree link will have all my links to what you need to follow me on, and you could right there, you could message me and let me know, hey, what have you guys talking about this? Maybe you should talk about that, whatever. And I'll bring it up with Kyle, and then we'll make a show about it.
And then I'll gatekeep you and say you can't come on the show. And then that's a stupid idea. And we're gonna do what I want to do.
There you go. Before we go, I want to send out an invite to a friend of ours, Ben Soto. Are you still here? If you are you willing to come on the show not next week, maybe then the week after, to join us? Or is it worth the pickup where we review your book, Cephas? Cephas. No, I think it's Cephas. I think Justin last time I did the show.
I'm saying it's Cephas.
Oh, so Ben, if you're still there, let me know if you're interested. If you're not, that's okay. Just DM me if you catch the replay, or if your brother Justin is on and he's still watching, he can let you know. But we would like to have you on the show so we can have a live Is it Worth the Pickup, and we can review your book, Cephas, because you fulfilled the book. People have them in their hands. Congratulations on that. So we want to let you know what we think of your story. So let me know, and we'll have you on for the next show. And because I know you were on the show before. We know you don't mind the hot seat, so that's why I'm sending the invite to you. And not only you, but anyone else out there, if you have an indie book and you're selling it, we will try to do our best to buy it. We don't want a free copy. We want to actually support you. So we'll buy a copy of your book. And then Kyle will read it, and he'll let you know his thoughts, and he will not hold back. So expect it.
Yeah, we do the same thing as what we just did with Firestorm, where we will go through it, basically page by page, and we'll go and I'll say, hey, this is a stupid name, and I'm like, it's not just that though. We'll go into the story beats, and we'll actually go through. And especially if you're in the hot seat too, we'll ask you questions about what your thought process was for some of this stuff, or things of that nature. And but just have a fun time doing that. And like I said, we're not going to hold back. I mean, if you want to, go and check out some of the other videos that we've had in the past, where I say some stuff, man. But it's all in good faith, and it's all to make the books better, and to make make it better for everybody.
You see this, Kyle?
Oh yeah, I see that.
Oh, and Tim, Freddie was just helping me with. I couldn't think of the word offended, so he was just helping me. No one's offended here. Yeah. Those who come here should not be easily offended. We all, like I said, we all like to have fun. We like to joke around, poke fun. That's the kind of environment we want to create here. It's a nice, joyful jabbing with one another, because that's what it should be all about. So thank you again, Kyle, for coming back. Hopefully you come back more often, but I know hey, real life happens. I get it. This is a show that we do for fun, and we want to keep it fun. And when it gets too work-like, it kind of gets you kind of lose your luster, right?
Yeah.
So
I mean, burnout is real, man.
Burnout is real. You're right. You're right.
It's tough. So, but anyway, we're gonna try to do this as often as we can, because we like doing this. It's fun.
Yeah, it is fun. So with that said, have a great weekend, guys. Enjoy your week. We'll see you on the next one. Peace.
Bye, guys.
On November 27th, 1997, citizens from a small Midwestern town called Carpenter's Bay were shocked to discover that one of their own brutally massacred his family, as well as ending his own life on Thanksgiving Day. Dubbed the Thanksgiving Day Massacre, this horrendous crime would forever tarnish the good name of this peaceful town. However, underneath this story lies a dark secret. A secret involving a government cover-up to hide the real story of what happened that fateful day. As the old saying goes, truth is stranger than fiction. Asset 13, The Last Thanksgiving, written by Julius Freeman, art by Greg Warrenchak, available on Global Comics. Evil has a new holiday.